The Indian American International Chamber of Commerce, or IAICC, is your go-to organization for facilitating dialogue and promoting economic growth between the US, India, and the rest of the world. It provides a sustainable platform and great leadership opportunities for entrepreneurs, professionals, businesses, and governments to exchange ideas, network, and help each other out. IAICC 2023 convention and 30th anniversary celebrations are planned for March 29th, 30th, and 31st at Ronald Reagan Center for International Trade in Washington, D.C. I'm now joined by three great chamber representatives who are here to share the details of the agenda and the program for the upcoming convention with all of you. Starting with Mr. K.V.Kumar, who is the Executive Chairman at IAICC and is highly respected for his exemplary commitments, successes, leadership skills, and volunteer efforts, I would ask him kindly to introduce the two gentlemen to our audience.
Thank you, Nidhi. I really appreciate this, and I want to thank Parik Media, and I want to thank my good friend and the Executive Board member of the IAICC, Dr. Sudhir Parik, for giving us this opportunity to speak. It's my great pleasure to introduce my colleagues here. Let me introduce Mr. Glen Falcao. Glen is the Vice Chairman and Secretary of the Executive Board for the IAICC, and he has contributed a lot over the last 20 years. He has been with the Chamber, and he is with me. Together, we are going to speak together later on. And I would like to introduce my good friend, and he is a very dedicated, very successful and dedicated individual, Shankar Rachakonda. He is the Vice Chairman of the IAICC as well as Chairman of Mid-Atlantic region. But he is really helping with the convention. He is leading the convention this year, and I thank him for the wonderful work he is doing. He is a great friend of mine, and he is going to brief us a little later on. Thank you very much.
Welcome to ITV Gold Studio, gentlemen. Mr. Kumar, you've been bestowed the prestigious Ellis Island Medal of Honor. You've had the privilege of serving 6 US presidents from Ronald Reagan to Donald Trump, a distinction no other Indian American can boast of. The list of your achievements and awards is endless. 6 Lifetime Achievement Awards, including honors and awards by US Senate, US Congress for your help in enacting the 1996 Traumatic Brain Injury Act by US Congress, your inclination towards spiritualism, religious activities, and everything in between. How do you manage your responsibilities at the Chamber? What is the mission of IAICC?
The mission of IAICC is very simple. We try to help trade between US and India and bring the rest of the world together and making this world a better world for commerce and trade.
How do you manage it all?
Oh, you are going to see this one with my good friend Shankar and Glenn and all the team that we have. It's very easy. I sit down and enjoy. They do the work.
Wow. That's like smart working.
Absolutely.
Great. Glenn, you're one of the founding members of the Chamber. Talk about its journey from inception to now. Talk about some challenges and accomplishments of the Chamber.
Thank you. I also want to thank you for doing this. One of the things that everyone, I think, who joined the Chamber was focused on was giving back. We've all been very blessed in this country to have different levels of success, and our motivation is to give back something to our country, to our countrymen, and our children. So I mean that's a big driving force. One of the things that I think tells you a little bit about the Chamber is what we've accomplished, a little bit more than just the words. And I'll just run through some of the things that I think are pretty significant. We helped establish the US-India Defense Pact under the Clinton administration, and then later expanded under the Bush administration, the Obama, and the Trump administration. We assisted in the establishment of the U.S.-India nuclear treaty, and as you know, in today's world, that is extremely important strategically to both countries. In the area of trade, we helped establish the strategic trade authorization, which put India on the same footing as other NATO countries when it comes to trade. Extremely valuable, and helped in the removal of the trade sanctions. And finally, we helped the Small Business Administration enter a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, which helped smaller businesses, not only on the large scale. So to give you a little sense of what we have been able to accomplish, our goal is to strengthen the ties of the two countries through commerce, through economics, and that is what we're attempting to do and will continue to do in the future.
So you've been doing it for a long time. Did you face any difficulties in achieving your goals at the Chamber?
These are very lofty goals. So I have to say there's always challenges.
Yes.
Nothing comes easily. One of the things I have to say is my friend to my right here, Mr. K.V.Kumar, was instrumental in getting us access to the right people in government, the right legislators, which was instrumental in building the chamber. So yes, there were challenges, but when the goal is the right goal, you find a way to overcome them.
Very true. Well said. Shankar, you have 30 years of experience in management consulting, information technology, engineering, software development. How have you revolutionized the chamber itself, where you are serving as the vice chairman of the chamber? What is the direction the chamber is headed in the future?
Definitely. First of all, Nidhi, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to talk about the chamber and the convention. And before I say something, I should also say something about K.V.Kumar, our fearless leader. Okay, he has been a source of strength for the chamber, a bedrock on which the chamber has been built. And you have rightly noted all his accomplishments, So he continues to lead the charge as much as he says that, he's not really doing a whole lot. He is the one who really puts the proverbial meat on the bone, as they say, and, really gives us a lot of motivation to accomplish a lot of things. Now, so you asked me a two-part question. One is, what have we done with the chamber in terms of especially leveraging my background in the technology industry for the chamber? I would like to address that. Something that we have done is we have put in place a completely new savvy strategy, media strategy that's focused on digital marketing. We have leveraged LinkedIn, other media channels, social media channels. We've been getting our word out, right, very actively. And we've been using these virtual channels to engage both government leaders as well as our community, especially significantly. That's been a big shot in the arm. Needless to say, the COVID challenged all of us, right, to become virtual, right? So we are combining those digital methods with physical methods to engage the community. That's been a big change for the chamber, right? Now, in terms of where we go, what do we do as far as the chamber is concerned? We will continue to build on this message of strengthening the trade between US and India, and then leveraging it, to promote trade relationships elsewhere as well in the world, especially in the underdeveloped parts of the world, in Africa, the Caribbean, and Latin America. Because as KV noted in the beginning, economic progress is something that brings, in our opinion, peace to the world, right? And I will be talking about this later in the about the convention. But that's our goal, right? Where there is economic progress, there is less strife. So that will be a continued part of our mission, right? And then the other part that we want to focus on is to continue to use the chamber as a vehicle to educate our membership and also help them identify business opportunities. A really big part of our advocacy has to do with understanding the congressional action in big areas and telling our community as to what it means to them in terms of business and business opportunities. And the last thing, as Glenn noted, is giving back to the community.
Giving back.
Nidhi, you would agree with me that our community, the Indian American community, is very fortunate in the sense that we have done well in this country. We are the richest ethnic minority. But it happened with a lot of hard work, right? But at the same time, we have to turn around and say, what can we do for this country? And how can we give back to the community? That's something that we've been thinking about a lot. And our goal is to form strategic relationships with other minority communities to help promote economic development in those communities as well. We have developed strategic relationships with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Black Chamber of Commerce. Now we are promoting what we are calling as workforce development initiatives to increase their participation in the tech sector. You will be surprised to find out that only 2% of Black Americans are represented in the tech sector, while they constitute 13% of the population. We want to help change that, right? And we also want to promote entrepreneurship in those communities as well. So this will continue to be our mission, Nidhi.
Now coming to the convention, the theme is global progress through economic partnerships. Recently, India has assumed the presidency of G20. How does the Chamber leverage India's G20 leadership to promote global economic partnerships that benefit governments, businesses, and people at large? Any of you can answer that.
Shankar, you go ahead.
Definitely. Thank you, KV.
Yeah.
So, again, as you rightly pointed out, Nidhi, the focus of the convention is to talk about economic progress and as to how it helps in a global peace. So, as far as the convention goes, we are celebrating 3 big themes this year. The first one obviously has to do with the G20 presidency, the fact that India has assumed G20 presidency. But at the same time, let's also remember that India has been a proud independent nation for 75 years. So that continues to be a theme. Now, talking about G20 and India assuming the presidency, we are, promoting what Prime Minister Modi has eloquently referred to as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, meaning one world, right? One soul, one nation, and one economy for everybody, right? So this is something that we're promoting significantly, and our first day of the convention is focused on understanding what this means, to the world at large, as to how India and US together can promote, India's presidency to identify the right economic opportunities, and the same theme will continue to the second day to identify global collaboration opportunities, right? So that becomes the second theme for us, right? Which is identifying emerging opportunities both in the US and in India in various fields, in government, in defense especially. There's a lot happening, in defense, infrastructure development, and electronics, etc., right? Particularly, this year, the Congress has passed some momentous legislation with the Chip Making Act, with the transportation bill, the infrastructure bill. All of this, they will percolate down into business opportunities, and the convention will help address those, right? Beyond that, we are also going to focus on, educating our delegates, especially those who do business across the border, as to what they need to be cautious about, especially in terms of corporate compliance, tax compliance, as well as legal compliance. That's going to be a second big theme. And the most important theme for the convention this year is also going to be celebrating the success of Indian Americans in various fields in the thing. We are so proud of the progress that our community has made, not only in technology, but in business, in media, in entertainment. So we're going to bring it all together, and we're going to talk about our success. But then the folks who will be talking about the success will also be talking to our delegates about how they can focus their efforts to be successful in these various fields.
I want to add something in continuation. Thanks, Shankar.
Yeah.
We couldn't have done it better than you did. And I want to add a couple of things, Nidhi, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And one of them is the opportunity zone opens doors for a lot of opportunities for Indian businesses to do business together with India, US. And the second one is with the US upgrading India to trade authorization one level and bringing it to the level of NATO countries, what it does especially in the artificial intelligence area, where India can procure, the defense-related, space-related goods and services without going through the middle people and things like that. So that is very important, and we have opened the doors for that one. Thank you.
I have one more open question. Anyone is free to answer. Have you noticed any changes in the foreign investors' confidence since the Hindenburg report was released? I'm curious to know if it has impacted investors' trust in India when it comes to pursuing new business relationships and making investments. What do you think?
I think we three should answer, all of us. First, let me briefly mention that it has increased considerably, okay, because it means a lot, okay? The investors have the confidence to invest in India. And, there are external factors which are affecting that too, okay? And without going into detail, I think it's a very, very good one. I'll defer that to Glenn and then to Shankar. Go ahead.
So I'm in the private equity business and venture capital. And I think that the report you're referring to initially had people nervous in that they were concerned about transparency. And I think one of the things that the government's actions, and so far, I think what people are finding is that for the most part, the concerns were a little bit overblown, and they will be addressed. Anything that is open should be addressed. Now, I wouldn't say that all the concern is gone. It hasn't. But I would say that we're not in the same position as we were when the report first came out. True. So I think there's definitely more of a sense that the government will take actions to be more transparent. And I'm hopeful that we will get back to a normalcy in the next little while.
If I may add something there. Yes, as Glenn rightly pointed out, as always, reports of this nature, in the beginning, they cause panic. But I think it's a tribute to the strength of our Indian economy, and in this specific instances, various entities that are concerned that the underlying value of the assets and the cash flows that these businesses are generating are very strong. As much as the Hindenburg report raised some questions, you will notice that many of the big banks, they understood the fundamentals of the strength of various businesses, and that has really helped us tide through the short-term crisis. And a couple more confidence builders with this new $1.6 billion investment that came into, the specific group in question. Plus, the fact that many banks have certified that, the assets are still very valid. All of this is now turning the tide around. But big picture, look, you can always see good in these things, right? While as much as it has opened questions about corporate governance and all, it will help India as a nation to strengthen those processes. And India will come out of this thing in a much better shape. That's my opinion. And I truly believe that, it'll continue to build on the strength of its economic progress, which are fundamentally driven by those structural reforms that the government is putting in place. So the momentum will, come back, and, it's a short-term setback, but we already see that, it's picking back up again, I think.
Great. That's great.
Right?
This question again, Mr. Shankar, you can answer that. What are the highlights of the convention? How do you see the convention benefit the Indian American community?
Sure, definitely. First of all, in terms of highlights, beyond what I talked to you as the themes of the convention and the sessions, the way they're structured, we have some very marquee events that we have planned that will highlight, the convention, as well as, will be very useful for our attendees and everything. We have the plenary session where the ambassador, honorable ambassador, will be addressing, the convention. Plus, we have several congressional leaders, leading senators as well as congressmen coming in to talk about the relationship between India and the US. And of course, we're also planning a White House briefing, with some key delegates, so that, that will also elevate the convention. But beyond that, we have a congressional reception planned where we fully expect, a significant number of congressmen to be at the reception. He'll give our business, our delegates, primarily, small business community as well as large businesses, to interact with the congressional leaders, talk to them about their concerns. So that's something that we're excited about. And we're also planning an ambassador's reception that the Indian ambassador has graciously accepted to host. And we're going to be having all the G20 ambassadors as well as, ambassadors from India's neighboring nations to be present. But most importantly, we have a grand gala on March 31st, where we'll be having some marquee guests, and we will be recognizing, Mr. K.V.Kumar's contribution to the chamber. We really see it as lifetime's worth of work that he has done, and that's going to be the highlight of the convention. But beyond that, in terms of benefits to the community, Nidhi, we, as I said, we leverage what we call as the 3 pillars of our chamber to produce benefits, to a community, right? Number 1 is what we call as access to policy leaders and, decision makers, right? The convention, needless to say, by bringing in these important guests, takes care of that. And it's a great networking opportunity. Businesses meeting businesses. We have a small business success event. We are bringing in government leaders as well as large company leaders coming and talking about how to do business with the government as to how small business can benefit. But also the businesses themselves, they intermingle with each other and they learn a lot. And beyond that, what we do as education is the other pillar that the chamber has. And as I noted, we will be educating them in how to be successful, how to make sure that they are mindful of various important things that become very germane to success, especially while they're doing business across the border. So all these things, they'll be very beneficial to them. And we hope that, this convention is something that they're going to thoroughly enjoy, Nidhi.
Of course, of course. Before we wrap up this interview, why don't each of you tell our audience how they can be part of this convention, be involved, or how they can support it?
Nidhi, we believe that it is centrally important for our Indian American community to be a part of the chamber and as well as the convention. Because something that we're trying to bring into the limelight, is the US-India relationship. The way I put this, India is our, she gave us birth, right? She's our birth mother. And the US is our adopted mother, And while we're here, we got to make sure that, we keep that conversation, on a very even keel. We got to continue to focus on this relationship because it is centrally important for us as not only the first generation, that has been successful here, but for our children who constitute the second generation. We're doing very well here, but unless we are a part of this conversation, unless we highlight our participation to the community, our achievements, and as to how we continue to be key contributors to this country, we will not be serving ourselves very well. So I sincerely call upon, the community at large, as well as others, to be a part of the chamber by being members. And, there's going to be a big membership drive that we're going to do post, the convention. We want to, increase our membership base. We want very proactive participation. But beyond that, within the convention itself, we really would like for the community to be a part of this because they will get a lot out of this. We have put together a very exciting program that is going to be very beneficial to small businesses, individuals, entrepreneurs, as Glenn pointed out, policy makers, and so on and so forth. Right?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Glenn?
Real quick, I think there are 3 things I look for. Number 1 is attend. For people to get something out of it, they need to attend. So that's the first thing. The second is to support. And we're a chamber like every other chamber. If we get your support in both financial terms, in hard work, in contributing your own efforts, that is going to help build our chamber and the community and the network that goes with it.
Please, not looking forward to, we would like you to please attend, and I will also request Dr. Sudhir Parikh, who is going to lead the lamp lighting ceremony at the very beginning, and please come and attend and enlighten us with your delightful questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nidhi.